anything like that from the stroke?
He did, a bit, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But he was able to communicate this to you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you rejected it in the beginning. What made you change your mind?
A lot of things. It was not something that I was going to quickly be open to because I really, really wanted to be normal. And it was never going to happen.
Okay.
I just had to. It took me a while to get to that, but he wanted to tell me about his experiences and all these beings that were coming through and what they were saying, and they were talking a lot about me.
Okay.
And I did not know what to make of this. I really, really wanted nothing to do with it. And so I would just go to the library or the bookstore, and books would start falling off the shelf with the same kind of context of information that these beings were speaking to my dad about. They'd fall right at my feet. And again, I was still very Christian thinking, so I'm like, this is a devil. So I would just run out, freaked out, and it's funny
how did you get over that, though? If you had this mindset that was Christian thinking, how did you sort of move beyond that?
Oh, I'll get into that. That's coming up. So I would just, go walking down the streets, and people would come up to me, people I knew and people I didn't know, and they would hand me the books. Again, same kind of information, like the ones that my dad was talking about, similar to the context of the books in the library and bookstore. And what's interesting about this is some of the people, when I asked, why are you giving me this book? And they're like, I don't know. How do you not know why you're giving somebody a book? Unless you're being inspired.
Okay.
And I still would not look at the books. And so it required those beings to be even more persistent. I like to call it an angelic kick in the butt. Where I've been working in the film industry. Right after my sister passed away, I left school because my parents, they were just, they weren't able to work. So I decided that, we go to schools, learn how to make money. I'm out of school, I'm out of this. And I went into the film industry right away. My very first day of extra work, I got lines. And so I thought that was normal. The next day I'm like, when do I get my lines? And they're like, you don't. So, where is I going?
So what happened? What did you do then? You didn't get lines. Are you saying you just became an extra?
I did extra work. I did acting. I did stunts. I did stand-in. I did crew work. Set deck. I did as many different things to remove politics and understand where everybody was coming from. That was something that I always was interested in doing, is learning all the different perspectives and.
Okay. And so when did the transition happen where you started to listen to what your father said?
On set, on a show called Da Vinci's Inquest, a guy came up to me I've never seen in my entire life. And he said to me, is your name Jessica? And I said, mm-hmm. He said, is your last name Schab? Yeah. And is your parents' name Roseanne and Terry? Yeah. How do you know all this? And he's like, okay, this is for you. And he gave me all these tapes on the CIA, underground militia, David Icke, Jordan Maxwell, Alex Collier, and then some.
Okay.
And I just kind of realized that this is never going to let up. Something is trying to get my attention, and I have to surrender.
Did you watch those tapes?
I did.
Okay. And did it change you?
I became very, very depressed, even more so, because, again, letting go of everything you think you know, but then also it seems to be this huge, scary conspiracy, like we're doomed. It's, this huge control game going on, and there's nothing you can do about it because you don't have the power or the money or say, in a sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you do then? How did you go from there to actually listening to your father?
Well, after the videos and after feeling the way I did about them and just constant reoccurring of Pleiadians, okay, Dad, who are the Pleiadians? Why do they want to get in contact with me? So I started finding out now, really listening to my dad. And I wasn't necessarily open to it, but I wasn't necessarily closed. I was just thinking that this is my experience for whatever reason. Life has taken this turn, and it's for a reason. So I should do some investigating.
Okay, and how old were you at this time?
I'd say about 17. Yeah.
Okay.
A year later. And my dad actually started to talk about his experiences, that he actually was aware of this stuff before his stroke. It was just a bigger upgrade for him. But I found out that when he was 8, he was taken up on a UFO, and the whole family on the farm saw this as well. And they put a chip in his brain, and this chip, he didn't believe that it was actually there. He thought it was a dream or something until not too long ago, before his stroke, I believe, that you mentioned. He was in the hospital, and there was a woman there that, well, she seemed to be a nurse, but she wasn't, because she went up to my dad right away and she said, "You have to leave." She brought him his clothes. She said, "If they're planning on scanning your brain, if they scan your brain, they'll find the chip." And my dad's like, "Wait a second, that's real?" And she said, "This cannot happen. So come on, it's time to go." But my dad actually didn't get out on time. So right when they were about to scan his brain, the whole hospital had a blackout. And when the power went back on, the CAT scan machine didn't work. And then when it did work, it worked on everybody but him. And that gave him enough time to make his escape from the hospital.
Okay, very interesting. So
Yeah.
now this woman, did she disappear? Was she still on the...
Yeah, she disappeared. My dad went back to find if he could speak to her again, and she was only there that one time. She completely vanished.
Okay.
And there's been a few actually events like that where these people would come to our door, and my dad would say, "Jess, go follow them," and I did, and they just vanished.
They just vanished?
Yeah.
So he would
Right in thin air.
say,
I turned
follow
the corner,
them?
and I'd see them poof.
Okay.
And my dad, he would have experiences where he could see these beings all the time. He would be in a parking lot, and suddenly all these angels would be surrounding him. So he had many experiences like that, and he always tried to interpret it and explain it to us, which was very, very fascinating. It started to become, okay, wow, something is going on here. And
what did your father do for a living before he had a stroke?
my father was a businessman. He had his own company called Beverly Hill Homes, which he ran with my mother, and it was very successful. And then he was a master of many things, a jack of all trades. In Winnipeg, he built houses. He designed them, architecture-wise, and he also put it together, carpentry. And they're very beautiful homes as well. One, which I have fond memories, is the Castle House. And he also was a chemist. He invented bendable concrete. But because he was very honest and trustworthy, he ended up getting taken, and somebody stole that idea and took it to China. And that really devastated my mother. They ended up losing all their money, really having nothing. And then my father, through the latter years, he made furniture, cutesy kind of furniture.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're in this situation. Your sister has passed.
Mm-hmm.
You're learning about ETs, and what happened that actually sort of progressed you to where it wasn't just your father having experiences, but you started to have them?
Okay. Wow. Well, I started to learn about the ETs, I'm actually really still upset with my father because he left the church, and I was still kind of Christian at that time, right? Trying to hold on to this. And so I kept going to different churches, and I felt really annoyed because I couldn't find one where I fit in. And so I decided to explore different religions. And I went to those churches, still didn't quite fit in, or something felt off and I couldn't put my finger on it. So then I went into mysticism, because this seemed to be along the lines of what my dad was talking about and what it seemed these beings were trying to relate to me. But still that didn't quite feel right, and I didn't quite fit in. And I knew that one day I would be explaining this to people. So I decided to even explore atheism. Again, same thing, still didn't quite fit in. But I couldn't deny any of them either, because they all seemed to be pieces of myself. So what I did was I started to embrace all of them.